I don't want to overemphasize the importance of the one-child policy because fertility has come down in all the successful Asian developers, economies like Taiwan, South Korea. I'm not so much of an expert on Singapore, but I believe you've had a very impressive drop in fertility. This seems natural in these successful industrializing economies that are pretty densely populated. So some combination of natural development impact plus the one-child policy brought about a really extreme decline in fertility in China. And what that did was it created this contrast between a period where the labor force was growing very, very rapidly. The share of children in the economy was going down. There weren't that many old people. So you had big labor force relative to dependence. And that was one of the contributions to China's rapid growth. But the problem then is that naturally comes to an end. You now basically have a labor force that's peaked, at least the working age population is peaked and is starting to decline, and is probably going to decline pretty significantly over the next couple of decades. China has changed its policy towards childbearing, but if it's like other Asian economies, we're not likely to see any big increase in fertility. So China probably has this decline in the labor force baked in. So it got a demographic dividend during the first couple decades after the change in fertility policy, and now it's facing this pretty dramatic decline in the labor force. Looking out over the next couple of decades, the number of people over 65 will double from 200 million to 400 million. Probably more important, the number of people, the so-called super old, over 85 years old, they're going to increase from fewer than 50 million today to more than 150 million by 2049. So a very dramatic increase in an elderly population that will need to be cared for in an environment in which the labor force will be declining. Now, while the labor force will be declining, it's interesting that one particular cohort will be increasing. The people who are 55 to 64 years old will actually increase very dramatically, and I think roughly double their share of the labor force.